To put it clearly, so we plan to bootstrap our treasuries with the POS models pioneered by oil, but instead of, a 100% stablecoins treasuries backing, we have this proposed models when we launch with 80% treasuries backing by stablecoin to 19% of bullish appreciative pricings, P2Es and metaverse assets. And I believe I coined this term, I call it meta play. So P to play to earn and metaverse. I hope that's I'm gonna make it stick. And 1% extremely speculative, high R&R plays like seeding, IDO, pre-sales. And what we plan to do is we plan to make a DAOs, a real DAOs with people who are interested in gaming, the metaverse sectors, and a lot of investors and speculators as well.
Okay, great. Why did you choose the Harmon chain in particular? We haven't seen many forks on that chain so far, so why did you choose it?
Okay, so that's a question that, there's three factors, right? The first factor is being the realistic aspect of thing, and the second being the emotional aspect of thing. So I talk about the emotional first because it's more relatable to us. So basically, we're all big fans of the Five Kingdoms. We met in the Harmony by looking for projects, and we just love how things are being very transparent, and the communities in Harmony is very supportive. Like I don't want to shed anyone's, but when you look at some other chains, right, the maxis and people on the chains might be a little bit too critical of other chains, but Harmony is the kind of change that, oh, you're in Harmony, that's great. Or you're in other chain as well, like good for you, man. And we just sort of like focusing on building our own stuff and doing our own things without really want to, like be combative or provocative or, just like shading anyone. And I think it's just great cultures. The core team is very transparent, very supportive as well. That's the emotional aspect. We feel like our cultures, our working cultures fits right at home at Harmony. And for the realistic side of things, first of all, is a very new chain. The only things that's big right now is on Harmony is the Five Kingdoms, and we are planning a partnership with them. And the transaction fee costs like next to nothing. When I came from ETH to Harmony, I feel like bloody millionaires, multi-millionaires, because like everything's like so cheap and it's so fast as well. And we believe that they've got great potential. So hey, why not, right?
Okay.
Okay. So in particular, why did you choose the video game or metaverse theme, and how do you think it will impact your tokenomics?
Okay, so let's break it down, right? First question, why meta play? And second question is how would that impact the tokenomics? So the first question, we obviously are very bullish on metaverse and P2E. I mean, like, come on, Facebook rebranded themselves that made that, right? There's no freaking way you can't be bullish on the metaverse. Like, personally, I'm a geek. I've been playing games since I was like, 3 years old. And personally, so just a little bit disclosures right now, right? I'm living in Vietnam right now. And all of my friends who have been in startup, have been, building P2Es. I was actually, invited to join the seed round for Axie Infinities. But at that time, I was like, what the hell is this? Nah, I think I'm going to pass. But looking back, it was a huge mistake, as we do know right now. So like everyone around me is building P2E. Some are legit, some are completely cash grab. But it's more about the cultures, man, because like, I mean, like people in the Western world might not get it, but like in countries like in Philippines and Vietnam right now, because of COVID, a lot of people lose their jobs, but they still manage to find a sustainable income, by playing Axis, by playing other games, make a living out of it. So I believe that it's not only about the money aspect of it that's attractive, but it's more about, this game has the potential to change life as well, and we're still early. And the reasons why I say it, because one of the projects that I'm personally very bullish on is Amber Sword. So in case you guys don't know about them, they are actually a Danish game studio that's been working on this MMORPG since 2007, 2008, and they're gonna launch pre-alpha in early Q1 next year. Just like 4 years in development, trying to build an ecosystem about everything, and they want to change the concept from play to earn, because games might be a little bit grindy. Like personally, I don't play Axie. It's just like costs so much time and it's just so grindy. But after the P2E stage, I believe that we're gonna go to the play and earn stage when games are actually fun to play and they're gonna make people a lot of money as well. And the metaverse, it's just like unlimited potentials. So on top of my head, a few months ago, I had this idea, right, when I really want to build this sort of like metaverse dating app when you're going to use your, profile pictures, NFT profile pictures, to just like use a 3D engine to just bring them to life, and then have the all the board aids, all the crypto punks and all that in a same universe, and just can interact with other people, because there's so many like multi-millionaires, billionaires nowadays. They come from cryptos, but at deep down we are still like shy upward nerds. We're not very comfortable showing our face on the metaverse, but put like a profile pictures in, put an avatars in, give us our own environment. We are very comfortable, and I'm sure that things like that. If I can think about it, then someone's way smarter than I am must think about it and might execute it. So the limits right now is limitless, and there's a lot of potential in this space. So we just thought about, okay, so down the road, right, we might want to, go the Amazon white label path, when we just like investing in, different businesses, and then we, research all of them, and we might, find a best practice, and we're gonna go down that road as well, make our own games. Like, I don't want to talk about it right now, since the metaverse cryptos move very fast. What's relevant today or in a month might not be relevant next month anymore. But I'm just trying to make a point here, and we're just like so bullish. So we're just thinking of like there's gonna be a lot of people like ourselves who are bullish, like playing games. So what if instead of go down on the traditional road like YGG or merit cycles, we can bootstrap our liquidities and build our DAOs, using Olympus POO's model, build communities, start investing in it, get people who are way smarter and way more overqualified than ourselves to join on board, and just like see how it goes. And that was the idea of Pixels, and we just decided like, fuck yeah, we're just gonna experiment on it. And it was funny, like we opened all like a week ago, yeah, and before the day my friend asked me, so how many people do you expect to join your Discord? I was like, yeah, I mean, like, if things go well, maybe we have like 1,000 people after 24 hours. And I shit you not, mate, like after 3 hours, we got like over 3,000 people joining our Discord. And it was like, okay, so before, opening our doors on Pixel, we're just thinking like, well, we either going to be genius or complete idiots. But with how things going, we some sort of like soft proof of concept, and we think that we might be on something here.
You want to ask them again, Indy?
Okay. So, I think we can go to the next question. What kind of like accountability or security measures do you have for guaranteeing the safety for your projects in particular?
Okay, so if you read our mediums, right, you will know that we have this thing is called the unrockable trustless security system. I just totally made that word up, but it's true. Because I know that we are anonymous on the internet, right? So the first thing we have to do is to gain the trust. Because no matter, how much the project sounds promising or, whatever we do, there's two risks that, investors going to face right now. The first one, they're going to ask themselves this question, like, are this guy going to rock us? It's on everyone's mind. Maybe they don't want to talk about it, out of respect for the project owners, or they don't want to seem like they're skeptical about, everything. But it's always on everyone's mind. The second concern is, what if price is going to go down? So we try to solve it. What we're good at is we identify problems, and instead of, trying to beat around the bush, we just like solve it. If you solve it, it proves that one, you're legit, and two, you're serious about your projects. People are going to buy in it, and they're going to be happy about it because they don't have this fear, like, oh, okay, so the potential is huge, but like, is this guy going to rock us? And I was like, no, we're not going to do it. So we are doing four things right now to make sure that you guys can trust us, and not like blind trust because, oh, this guy sounds convincing, but we want to build a trustless security system that you don't have to trust us because the system takes care of itself. So the first thing, we are gonna have multi-sig. We implementing safe 4/7 multi-sig. In case you guys want me to elaborate a little bit more, clearly, it means that our treasury fund is going to be put in a wallet with 7 multi-sig holders, and each decision for the wallet has to be approved by the majority of at least 4 people. So if we want to rock you, right, we need 4 people on board on a conspiracy. Otherwise, we can't rock you. I'm going to be very honest here because we have got nothing to hide. So a very standard question is going to be like, okay, so we don't know you guys. You might just get like 4 random people and, you're going to rock us, right? I know that that's not going to be an issue because we plan to diversify our multi-sig holders. So right now, the multi-sig holders, some of them are core members of our teams. I'm one of the multi-sig as well. And there's also House is in the chats right now. And we diversify our multi-sig by offering it to, communities members are reputable that, we can trust and the community can trust as well. We're not going to disclose everything right now because a few partnerships need to, iron things out. But one of the multi-sigs we have on board is Sam K. He's Frax founders, in case you guys don't know. And Frax is going to help us with, the initial phase of liquidities on Harmon as well to make sure that there's enough Frax on board. So, retailers who want to buy, pixels can have 0% slippage and be very happy about the whole thing. So that's one multi-sig. And the second thing is, a few members of our core teams is actually Dubs. I'm actually Dubs, actually. I'm not publicly Dubs, but I'm Dubs to the core Harmony teams. And before coming here, I just had a 2.5 hours long AMA with the Pixel DAO communities, and someone raised a very interesting question, like, "Hey, Lovefish, I trust you, but can you verify that in a way that you're Dubs to Harmony?" So I was like, yeah, sure. So I just like hop on Twitter and just Twitter Harmony Remote Protocol, say, hey, can you guys confirm that I'm Dubs? And they haven't replied yet because it's just like literally an hour ago. But when when it's done, we just gonna show everyone that we are not bullshitting. We actually follow up with things that we say we're gonna do. And on the other hand, we got pretty stacked team as well. Our lead dev is actually a OG Coinbase dev, joining them since 2017. He's a personal friend of mine, and he's helped working the project, doing all the heavy lifting, so I can meet here and talk about AMA and talk about the projects with everyone, sharing the love. And what I mean is that since we are dogs, our dev is semi-dogs, so we got a lot of stakes, man. Like if we do something bad, it's not only hurt our reputations, but we can face serious legal consequences as well. So we intentionally, put ourselves in a positions that if there's any foul play occurs, we're gonna be in trouble. So that not only the community can trust us, but we have motivations to internally, monitor our people and ensure that everyone is in line with securities as well. And the third one is, I know that some people are gonna be like, oh, okay, so you guys stopped, but then what? And we're gonna planning to implement third party KYC as well for myself, and I believe, Chris, are you on board as well? You're on board, right?
Yep. Yeah. So I'll be going to the Harmony One event next week. So I'll be doxed to the team there as well. And then just like Lovefish was saying, we're going to do a third party KYC, and we're also going to be doing an audit, a pre-launch audit that requires a KYC of the dev. So we're doing a bunch to instill trust from the community in us by making ourselves somewhat vulnerable. So we hope that is sending the right signal to everyone here.
Yeah, so it's just a third party KYC. And the fourth thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do a 2 rounds of auditing. So once the contract is done, right, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do a auditing round with MCN, and the reasons why we want to do with MCN because they're Harmony native. They've done a bunch of auditings for Harmony projects as well. So that's gonna be like a soft audit to be completed, so we can launch whenever we are ready. But after launching the protocols, get money in your treasuries, we're planning on a real audit with either Paladin or runtime verifications. So in case you guys don't know, runtime verification actually did audit for the original OM, and they're doing audit for ETH 2.0 as well. So in terms of reputation, they are the best in the business. And I mean, like, it's probably gonna cost us like up to 250K, but if the treasury is not gonna be a problem, we don't mind, paying good money so that if you guys can trust us and see that, like, hey, Pixel is going all out on securities, they're not gonna, rock them, right? So because I know that reputation in this space is very important, and trust is very important because we're trying to build a trusted system here. And unfortunately, like, not many builder understand it, and unfortunately, so many retail investor, they are too emotional. They just don't dig deep down inside. They just let the greed overtake them, and they just make very unsophisticated decisions. But here in Pixel, our philosophy is, even though you're an app, even though you might not care about safety, but we still care about you, and we wanted to attract like the smartest, the most intelligent investor, as well as the like formal retail investor. And we understand that we can't beat around the bush. We can't like bullshit the real smart investor. So all we can do is just doing everything right, so that everyone from the formal app crowds to the sophisticated DD crowd can look at Pixels and think to themselves that, yeah, they're fucking legend.
Sure, absolutely. So again, welcome guys. We're stoked to have you. Many of us had the opportunity to join your AMA earlier this morning, and got to say, super exciting. And you could feel the excitement just surrounding your project and all the chats. For those that could not join the AMA, could you go into detail regarding the whitelist game that's going to be taking place?
Oh yeah, that was a 2 hours long conversations in Pixels, but no, that's fine. Let's go for it, right? So okay, big pictures first. Everyone wants to get into the whitelist, but I want to just like I spend a little bit why we have that whitelist process, because we believe, right, like so many folks, so to speak, they call themselves a DAO, but they're not actually a DAO because there's no decentralization. It's just basically protocols. What we plan to do is we really want to, build DAOs when, it's just like these things, right? One of the reasons why you go in cryptos is because there's something about the real life. It's just frustrating you, and you don't want to deal with that. Let's just be like freaking honest about it. And when you go online, the first thing you want to do is you want to have a sense of belonging. You want to, like be somewhere, find people who are like-minded, people who accept you, people, who you can be a part of. And I know that, among ourselves, right, there's so many like people who are lonely, people who just, want to find a tribe of themselves, a place where they call home. So that's what we do. So our philosophy lies in the P2E metaverse space. And what we want to do is we want to build like a culture where, hey, if you're a gamer, you like playing games, if you're a little bit of a geek, people think that you're a little bit weird in real life, that's fine, fuck them, join us. We're gonna make this our own place, a very inclusive communities when, like even the apes and the super smart, chat fine, loyal kind of guy can, feel themselves at home and find their own place in the communities. So we understand that like the spirit of a 3-3 is a very long term bet, and it's also the metaverse is a very long game as well. So if you think to yourself that, oh, okay, I'm going to get this wireless and I'm just gonna, flip it for 10x easy, then I'm just gonna have money for Christmas to just like buy myself a new PlayStation or some shit. Yeah. So we don't want to we don't want to do that. But we are also very aware of the fact that most people, when they hear Unfold, all they think about is money and they want to get in. And that's fine, I don't blame them. But we don't mind that, but we want people, from all the spaces and, all kind of investor to come in. But what we want to do during the wireless game process is sort of like an orientation process when people actually get to know each other, form teams, work together to get that wireless, just build the emotional attachment between you and the core teams and the other DAO's members. I personally spend, like a lot of hours every day talking to this guy because I understand the importance of the community aspect of it. Like, let's be very honest, we're borrowing the PLO's model from OIM and we're investing in metaverse. So technically speaking, we're not doing, anything groundbreaking with technologies, and we are very aware of that. And we are very self-aware of it. So what happens is either for our DAO, either to succeed or fail, it all depends on the communities. It all depends on the leadership, the visions, the people who are building it, what you want your community to be. And I want our community is you're the jam, you're like a TradFi guy, you're super smart. I don't care if you come here, let's integrate ourselves with the Pixel DAO community, super inclusive. There's a space for everyone. Very, empathetic, very open, very transparent, a little bit like flat structures in the sense that I always like joke around with members when they call me like, sir, how do I get the values? I was like, don't fucking call me sir, I'm just like your mate. So that's the culture going to be always pixels, yeah. So we have this wireless game. It's a treasure hunt game because playing on our narrative of being a P2E metaverse focused DAO, we want people to we want to get people together. So we're doing this game when, for each game, we are spreading 5 clues over our Discord, Twitter, and Medium. And the reasons being that I know that, there's a lot of people in our Discord. They got into the whitelist and they was like, hey guys, so I just got myself a whitelist. Now I'm going to read your Medium article. And I was like, hey, what the hell, man? Like, you should have read the Medium article before you get into the whitelist. You should do your own due diligence, know what you're getting yourself to. I have to actually, like, literally, as a project core team member, I have to teach this guy, how to do due diligence. That's like how much effort we're trying to put in to educate our, investor. Yeah. And we want, the games to just like bring people together. So we hire a little bit a Medium article, so they have to go find it. And when they go find it, hopefully they're gonna read the Medium articles and learn more about us. And because the game is going on, 24 hours, so people actually have to form teams to talk about it. So basically, we just post like 5 very, how to say, very vague clues around, the internet, and just ask people to get those 5 clues to decipher like which game are we reference to, because we're gonna reference one famous quote from one character, from one game. To give you an example, let's say for Mario's, right, the most famous quote is going to be the princess is in another castle, but we're not going to tell you the password. It's just going to, make up 5 clues, like a mushroom, for example. So you look at the mushroom, you know that it's freaking Mario. You give it like an apple, basket of fruit, you can decipher and think yourself, oh, it's referring to Princess Peach. And maybe something like a house, a tower, a castle. So when people look at it, they can, like analyze it, decipher it, talk amongst the team, because we're gonna do games from different areas as well to make sure that people of all ages and background are included. They have to work together to solve it, and together they might make a one list. So there were like 200 people joining our AMA today for the treasure hunt games, right? And they asked me this very interesting question, like, hey, so if we want to form groups, right, what's the maximum amount of members we can have in our group? I was like, I don't care, man, because like we are all here, right? So either you can form a group with like 200 people, because we plan to give out like 200, 300 well-list spots for this game as well. But think about it this way. Think about it this way. That might or might not be a good idea. And people start freaking out. They are like, oh, okay, so what do you mean that it's not a good idea? I was like, think about it. So there's a limited amount of wireless going around. So technically speaking, these guys can be your competitors. So either the competitors or they're your friends. It's your job to figure it out. And it's just like a test. And now they have to find out themselves whether they want the 3-3. Just work with everyone and hope that everyone is compliant, or they trust other people and form their own, sort of small cliques to play this game. It's your choice. I'm not going to enforce it. But I hope that without, instructions and or guidance in a way, they can sort of like find the answer. There's strength in number, in trust, in cooperation. That's how we're going to move ahead.
Awesome. So I got to say, really enjoy the idea of the treasure hunt, and you're pointing folks to review the meeting articles, which they agree they should be doing, to review the project more and all the other stuff with that. So regarding the whitelist spots, you just mentioned there's going to be a dynamic amount of them, correct? I believe around 200. I believe. Could you elaborate more on that?
Yeah, what specifically?
So I get it. It's treasure hunt. We're all kind of going after, you encourage folks to join groups, and, you've got that chat set up. So is it hard set at the 200, or kind of how is that going to work regarding the treasure hunting?
Well, that's just for this specific game. We actually have more whitelist spots available. That's just specifically for this current iteration of the game.
All right, perfect.
Okay.
Cheeky.
So here's the big pictures, right? Okay, so we have a minimum total number of 1337 whitelist, and guilty, I was the guy who came up with the idea, because like gaming lit, right? It's just like so fun. So 1337 minimum amount of whitelist to a maximum of 2094 or 96, I can't remember, but rather ballparks, right? Because what we believe in is we have a visions, and our vision is we want to whitelist, a large amount of people, so that people feel like they can be a part of Pixels, but at the same time, we want to reduce the max allocation. So, give anyone a chance, but no one controls the majority of the supplies. In fact, we have like 0 VCs backing, 0 seed rounds, and 0 free team allocation as well. Our core team buy in ourselves because we're giga longing on Pixels in the metaverse, and we are vested until about like $1 million market cap as well, but we don't give a shit because we are in here for the long term. So with that being said, we want to everything's it's not about the whitelisting game. It's not about the tokenomics. To understand Pixel, you have to understand everything has been done as a system to work together and promote these cultures when everyone feels included. We have our own cultures and our community spirit. So two of our advisors, one is a VC himself, one is an angel investor, that they are on board with the Pixel ideas, like they know that, hey, I respect that, you guys really want to go down this community road. You guys want to, just give people, the majority of the token because you guys want to use this with the community. We respect that. They're DAOs, they're VCs, these guys, they are smart because they know that, they know a potential project when they see one. And they was like, hey, do you guys need some seedings? And I really respect that, but I got to, decline, respectfully. It's not my decision, but it's our decision as a core team. Yeah. Well, and the reason is being that, we really want this to be a community thing. We don't want to, make it too, financial. So we want to be like two structures. We want to be in environments when, even the little guys in the DAO can have a say in everything and can just like voice their opinions. And there's always people like me and the house and girls and science is gonna be there and talk to them, like the online family they have from the beginning.
Perfect. Appreciate that. We've got one more question for you, and then I believe we're going to open it up to some community questions from our group.
Yeah.
So what are your marketing strategy? What's planned?
Can you be a little bit more specific about that?
So, sometimes when you look through roadmaps for developments and projects, they've got, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and then sometimes you'll see in there, here's our marketing push. So are you guys just kind of using the organic approach for your marketing? Or do you guys have something kind of cooking up?
Okay, so we believe in organics, right? So in fact, like a lot of people who join our Discord, they were just wondering like, hey, why can't we generate our invite links? I was like, mate, there's no invite link here because we don't want to encourage, invite contests because what happened is we don't need people. We need people who actually, stay. We can bootstrap our communities with a lot of money. We can pay from our own pockets. We can bootstrap, people from, it's like somewhere. But at the end of the day, the reasons we are here at Olympians because we believe that the folks here understand, the concept of OIM, the concept of 3-3. So we want to talk about, we want to talk to people who understand about the POL models. We want to talk to folks about, people who understand our visions, be very enthusiastic about the futures. I know the market is not very good, these days, but doesn't mean that we don't want to stop building. No, we're just gonna, go full steam ahead. And people who understand our long-term vision, they're gonna join us. They're gonna stay, and that's what we need. Because at the time right now in the market, it's a time when you find people who are willing to stick around you, during a bad time. So during the good time, we can just like reap the reward together. So that's what we have in mind. We want to be 100% organic.
Okay, great. Thank you all for coming. We'll start the community round right now. I've set the channel to low mode, so yeah, send your questions and the team will choose the ones they want to answer and the ones who win the whitelist spot.
And I mean, I can chime in there. Just like Lopez said, we're aiming to be organic. Like we want to, kind of pull people into the circle that, have influence and that, that can join. One example of this is Pixel Saint, who's here, and he's been in some other communities. We brought him on board, and he's been helping us with a ton of the marketing right now at this early stage. But yeah, we will be providing a roadmap that kind of outlines our kind of quarterly outlook over the next year, but that is still in development right now.
Okay, you can start if you want. If you have a request, if you have a mic and want to request talking, I can guarantee you the rights. Okay, you can talk, everybody.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, this is shaping up to be a really, really cool game, and I'm wondering, is there going to be a playable game? Because one of the things that I was thinking would be really interesting is having a possibility to mint an NFT and then integrate that somehow with the protocol, minting and providing liquidity to the protocol, but having an NFT in return that could be used as like an in-game thing. So yeah, I was just really curious, like what your plans are for the future of this. Thank you.
Well, can you clarify questions a little bit, because it seems like there's a lot of information in the questions, and probably need to break it down a little bit so people can understand.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I could chime in here, Lovefish, if you want me to.
Okay, no, that's fine. Go ahead.
Yeah. So there's no direct plan right now to create our own game. We do, if you look at our like treasury allocation and what we're planning to do with that in our Medium article, you'll see that 1% allocation. That is going to be like our kind of like, we can call it like the DAO's like seed fund. Use that to seed other projects. You know, it'll be a high risk, high reward, but we're looking at like supporting gaming. We're supporting other projects that are developing games in the metaverse. So that's kind of more of our direction in that sense. And not necessarily developing our own game. I mean, maybe, you know, down the line, depending on hitting other milestones, that could be a potential route we take, but it's not really on our mind right now. We're focused more on what we're doing at the current time, which is building up our treasury and then building out the governance structure and, you know, transitioning more to that decentralized DAO structure that is going to, you know, essentially have councils that will figure out how to allocate those treasury assets appropriately.
And just to chime in on Gus on a little bit, so, you know, we don't like to talk about this because, as I said just now, right, the P2E, you know, metaverse, cryptocurrencies, space moves very quickly. So obviously, I think I mentioned it a little bit earlier as well. If you pay attention to it, like we might, you know, go down the road of Amazon white labels after, you know, doing research and investing in like 10 million different projects. We might have an ideas and a treasury and expertise in house to make our own games, but we don't want to talk about it right now because the definition of a game by the time we decide to make one is going to be massively different from, you know, the definitions of a P2E games right now. So most people, when they look at the, you know, from the investor perspective, I totally understand that you guys want to see a roadmap, know where the, you know, like communities and the leadership is planning for like 1 year, 2 year, 5 years. But from a builder's perspective, let me tell you straight, is, you know, if anyone can tell you in cryptocurrency in 2 years what you be doing, this is probably lying to you, because we are going to uncharted territories here, gentlemen. We are going in metaverse. We are using a totally, you know, novel treasury allocations idea. And obviously, we're going to have all hands on board to make sure that it's a successful, and we believe that we have the capacities to do so. But as Kurt's mentioned just now, the realistic focus right now is to get things up and running first, to build a base, a good foundation, so that with the treasury, with our investment, we can have a very healthy and abundant treasury to just literally do anything we want to in the futures. But if we just keep our eyes, on the long-term horizons right now, even though we are bullish on the metaverse, long terms are be counterproductive because we are realistic. We haven't launched yet, so right now all hands on deck to start and to have a successful launch. And right after, we're gonna be planning a futures plan, not just visions, not just ideas, but planning to execute it.
That being said, though, it's a great question, and with all these innovative ideas, we're always looking for it. So feel free to jump into our suggestions and post whatever you're thinking, because it's always well received. So thank you for that question. Thank you.
Okay, maybe you can choose one from the TED's chat, so we do one each.
Should we choose it? Or
Yeah,
you guys
Yeah,
gonna
I was
choose?
gonna say, how do you guys want to do this? Do you want us to choose it? I think I have the access to bring people on stage. I don't know if you want to do it, or if we should do it, or what.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, let's bring people on stage. That'll be fun.
Okay, so we're bring people more onto the stage. So, okay.
Hello, everyone. I just have one question regarding the structure of Pixel DAO. Are you going to gamify the organization? If so, can you give us one specific example of how it works? For example, do we participate in a faction similar to RomDAO or anything? Thank you.
It won't be a total parallel with RomDAO as far as structure goes and organization. We may have some gamified aspects later down the road. But like I said, right now, I think our priority is getting the actual councils and structure established and finding the right people to fill those. People are the most important part of this whole thing. And finding the right people to fill those councils will be the number one priority over the next few weeks. So that's kind of how I see it. Implementing a gamified aspect of it, it's something we've thought of and that has been brought up in our suggestions before, but it's not our number one priority.
Okay, I just have supplemental questions. You mentioned about the council members. Are you gonna source them from the community or from the early adopters or somewhere else?
Yeah, we'd like to source them from the community, but at the same time, we need to do like a very kind of stringent validation of what people are capable of. I'm actually in the process of generating the requirements and kind of the personnel requirements, I guess you could say. And I am aiming to do this through the community, but the reality is if we don't have the right people within the community.
Okay, it's perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah, sorry, I got interrupted for a minute. But yeah, the bottom line is that we will try to source them from the community, but if not, we're going to look outside the community to get the right people in the right positions, especially when we're talking about like we haven't decided on the exact name, but the investment council, the protocol councils, like that type of thing.
Okay. I think one of you brought Sebla to speak. Can you talk?
Hi. Yeah, thanks for bringing me up. Pixel's probably fed up with me asking all these questions, but there's something I was thinking about since the last AMA, which was I'm really loving the metaverse aspect of the project with investing 20% of the treasury in speculative stuff. Has the team considered, taking the approach of incubating metaverse projects? So kind of taking the approach of making these projects want to come to Pixel rather than Pixel having to go out and find these projects.
Can you hear me?
Hey, can you guys hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah. So we are trying to draw organic attention to the DAO to have, we'd like to have projects coming to us and, showing interest in like, hey, would you guys be willing to, invest, seed in our or to participate in the seed of our project. And the same thing goes for the 20% allocation. If there are like, protocols that are already up and running and they believe that they want to put forward, nominations essentially for their pair or whatever to be added to our treasury, we will consider it. But again, that's going to be on the community and that's going to be based on our governance structure. Initially, the first pairs will essentially be dictated by a more centralized group, being the core team. But as we transition, we will be trying to draw in talented developers, talented builders that are building other metaverse projects and games. And that's kind of like our goal, is to be, paint ourselves in that light where we are like the premier DAO these projects off the ground.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your answer. That's cool to hear. Thank you.
I see that Uzi has a great question in the AMA channel. Do you want to jump on, Uzi?
Yep, I invite him. Uzi, please respond. Okay. Oh, okay. I guess Aaron, you can go first.
Hey guys, thanks for the AMA. I just wanted to ask, I see that the founders, some of the founders in Pixel is the same as the Trident, but correct me if I'm wrong, but are these group the same? And is there any synergy between these two projects if there is?
Olympus, do you want to chime in here? Or do you want me to cover this or what? Well, I don't know if he's here, but I'll get it then. So the bottom line is that we were participating in Trident and some of us still are. We just felt that it was a little bit information was too stovepipe, I guess is the best way to describe it. I have a great relationship with those guys, and we kind of like mutually support each other, but we're not as directly involved, I guess is the way. It's a complicated situation at the end of the day, but they're not directly aligned. There's no like official partnership or anything like that.
I see. Okay, thank you. Maybe just one more supplementary kind of question is, you talk about going from more core team focus, and then when it's ready, move into a more DAO-centric or decentralized way of managing the investments or the yield in the treasury. Could you maybe share some of the criteria of what you're looking for to make that transition?
I see. So I think I can answer this question. So basically, it's right, with every project, there's always it needs to be very centralized at the beginnings because centralization get things done. And without structures, what I really learned from, this is a very interesting project that I really like. They are called Reverse Protocol, and they are not the own fork on Harmony, but Reserve. They aim to be a stable coins that fight against inflations in the world, and they have this 3-part models. When at first they are super centralized because there's a need for a leadership team with visions and direction to move things forward. Like for now, pre-launch, we are super centralized because we need to be centralized to keep moving things forward, so people can get things done and laid out foundations. But along the line, what we do is we starting opening our doors when there's a parameters has been set. Like when we open our doors with tokenomics medium articles today, the first thing we decide to do is to do an AMA with people about tokenomics. Also, recently we've been asking a lot of advisors in the industry as well to ask for their opinions, because we want to bring on board slowly people who are proficient in tokenomics, in governance structures, in policies, in everything. And while we're working with these people, we will start identify, 2 kind of characters. The first one is the one who's being very enthusiastic, but they might lack the domain expertise. So we still welcome them on board because of its contribution. So one of the biggest criteria in selecting whitelisted members are the contributions. It's just you don't have to be an expert in your field and have deliverables, but as long as we feel that you want to contribute because you're worried and you care about the futures of the DAO and you want to be successful, we bring you on board. And the second type of folks are people who have great domain expertise that's going to give us advice. And along the way, these folks going to be our futures governors, and they're going to help us to bring even more people on board as well. Like, honestly, I believe that the core team has great visions and great leaderships, but obviously in some aspect, we are pretty left curve. So we would like to work with people who are way smarter than we are, more qualified than we are, to help us fill in the knowledge gap, teach us and guide us things we don't know about. And when we have the foundations laid out, those people can be people who execute and implement solutions that we haven't had otherwise. Because that's the general direction, because decentralization, if not executed right, is going to be an idealism, so to speak, and it's never gonna go to fruitions. But decentralization, doing right, is more like a process when the core team start up with a vision and leadership and slowly, handing over the power, the control, and the decisions making to the DAO, so that one day, let's just say that if we are not here anymore, not because we don't want to, but but something happens to us, right? In business, in communities building, you always have to think about the worst case scenarios. Like, what if tomorrow I go out and I get hit by the car? I don't want the whole DAO to be shut down because Lovefish is not going to be here anymore. It's one, the DAO still running. So when we still can, and when we're still at the infant stage, the core team is going to be all hands-on to make sure that we launch and we lay out the foundation so other people, new blood, young blood, you can come in, chime in, and with the expertise and experience of our seasoned veterans, advisor, everyone can just build it down as a DAO in the direction that the majorities would, want to go forward with.
Thank you very much for the answer.
Okay, John Wayne.
Yes.
Uzi, excuse me.
Good afternoon.
Sorry. Hello? Yeah.
Can you guys hear
sorry,
me?
Uzi, you can start first. Okay.
Okay, guys. First of all, I would like to thank you guys for doing this MIA. Thank you very much, and I would also like to thank you, the guys from Olympians, to making all of this possible. So, in a recent Medium article, you stated that you are grinding to become the largest reserve currency of the metaverse. As a long-term investor, I'm very bullish about this project, considering that the global metaverse market size could reach over 1 trillion. Metaverse technology could be used to improve work productivity, education, and other sectors such as real estate. Do you see Pixel DAO benefiting from these sectors joining the metaverse? Moreover, one last thing. I would like to know what hypes you the most from Pixel DAO? Thank you.
Okay, thanks for the questions, Uzi. So let me just break it down very quickly. So there's two questions here, yeah. So besides gaming, are there, any ways that Pixels are planning to benefit from the metaverse? The second one is being that what hypes us the most about Pixels, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so the first question, I believe that there are so many implementations metaverse can bring, but we are very realistic right now. So right now, we can all agree that the only applications of the metaverse right now is gaming. And the applications is somewhat speculative in nature. I believe that if we are realistic, we can all agree on it. So as a stage, we are right now, we are in the infant stage of the metaverse and Pixels DAO. We want to be realistic because what's the benefit of thinking about, education and real estate if we fail to bootstrap our treasuries from, obvious metaverse plays? So the way we move forward as a team is we always have people on board. We just keep thinking and researching about the long-term vision side of things. And we always have people who are hands-on every day trying to decide what do we do today, tomorrow, this week, and next month. So all I'm gonna say is that we're gonna keep an eye on other sectors because we understand that metaverse is not all about gaming. But right now, and the metaverse is all about gaming. It's all that we're going to focus on right now. That's just a very realistic approach when it comes to metaverse and blockchain and cryptocurrency in general. And the second question, I think I only can speak for myself here, but because since you guys want to join in, what hypes you guys the most about Pixels?
Okay, thank you so much, Uzi. John Bain,
Oh,
do you have a
did
question?
you want me to hop in? Or
Yes.
Yeah, sure. I want you to hop in, Spider. Like the guys, he asked questions. Like we should answer.
Yeah, so I would say what hypes me. I'll go back to like the foundation of why we, myself, Lovefish, Hounds kind of got into this. And when we were brainstorming and thinking up of the ideas, I thought back to like when I was a kid and like the first video game that I played and like the nostalgia that kind of, came up inside of me, thinking about like, oh, this cool game that I played when I was a kid and like the memories tied to that. Fast forward to a few weeks ago, I was talking to my buddy about DeFi Kingdoms, and he was like, "Yeah, I got my 8-year-old daughter, playing it, even though it's in beta right now, essentially, or not in beta, but it has a lot more iterations to roll out." And he's like, "Yeah, she's just grinding on there for me." I was like, "Oh man, that's like child labor, dude. Like, don't do that." And he's like, "No, but like she likes it. She digs the characters. She enjoys the style, the aesthetic." And I was like, "Man, that's cool," because I'm thinking like years from now, as the metaverse grows, as gaming on chain grows, like that's what the next generation is going to look at. They're going to look at like these games that are right now are like the primitives of the future of metaverse gaming. And they're going to look back at right now, this time in history, at these games and be like, yes, those were the things I remember when I was a kid. And it might not be just DeFi Kingdoms. There's going to be tons coming out probably over the next few years, right? Regardless of what happens in the general crypto markets. Like, there's still going to be builders. There's still going to be developers building games. And it's the future. And so that's what kind of gives me hope and kind of makes me love this project so much and why I'm so bullish on it.
I'm bullish too, man.
And like
A great answer.
I can't speak for everyone's, right? Personally, I think the reasons that hypes me most about Pixel is actually not, the hype about us or, the metaverse. Like, I'm very obviously bullish in it, but what hype me most about it is just like how things, get started so fast. I mean, like, I'm gonna be very honest with you, right? We are just like anons meeting on the internet. Like, I didn't know Curse like a month ago. We're just strangers, but like from strangers, because of the same vision, we decided to just like come together. I met House, I met Curse, I met Sangs, and it's just like there's just like something in the air, like the visions, the leadership, everything just make people like come together and work on it. We from different time zones, we have different backgrounds, but when there's a call, we just like jump in, we work together. And this team has been way more competent than many startup teams I work with in real life. Like, the amount of passion, the amount of work and knowledge we are willing to put in, set aside all of our real world knowledge. We want to relearn everything about the metaverse, about like DeFi, like everything when we first started in, and it just like drives things forward. And because of the anonymity and because of the difference in time zone, we have to learn how to trust each other. We have to learn how to work together. And at first it was like gambles in a way, because like, hey, I don't know this guy, but I mean, like, yeah, I'm gonna work with them because we share the same visions. And the more I work with these guys, the more I love them and the more connections we have. And it just like we are able to do things that we are not able to in the real world. And that's what means a lot to me, because growing up, I've always been taught by my family, by my dad, that you don't invest in project, you invest in people, you invest in teams. And our team is great. I love that. And I know that we know a lot of things, but we still don't know a lot of things. But the reasons why we still can move Pixels forward, because I have complete faith in my teams that we can make it.
Okay, thank you very much. It was a very exhaustive answer. I can tell you guys you're really passionate about what you're doing, and that makes me even more bullish. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lucy. I'll let John Bain ask next question. Okay, John Bain.
Greetings from Puerto Rico. Hope you guys doing well. It's a great AMA so far, and the Olympians team are doing a great job as well. My first question is regarding what you said about the skills or the community of the community members. You guys are gonna check what skills or what are the community members capable of? What are you guys doing to know that so far right now? That's one. And the other one is going to be how or what you guys planning to do to bring new investors to the chain, to the blockchain. I'm talking about Harmony One. There's not that many people using it that regarding right now, right? I just want to know how or what's the plan you guys have to bring more investors, and how you're going to know the skills of your community members or what you're doing right now. And the last one is if you guys are part of Pixel Coin or were part of Pixel Coin. I didn't get the the answer of W.E. Kurtz. He said something, but I really don't understood that.
Do you want to break these questions one by one? So do you want to ask?
Absolutely. Yeah, no problem. The first one is how you're going to know the skills of the community and who's going to be capable of working with Pixel DAO, and how you're going to know it, or what you guys doing right now to see who have the skills to be part of the team.
That's actually a very interesting question. So let's just say, right, if we break down the DAO, there are a few aspects to consider. You know, obviously we have things like tokenomics, government structures, and for ourselves we have really need an investment committee as well, because at the end of the day, right, we have a different treasury structures and treasury strategies because we are investing into metaverse backed tokens. So we definitely need a lot of people with domain expertise to do that. So let's start with our advisors. Like, we're not gonna be here with our advisors because we have advisors in terms of government structures. And interestingly, before we even founded Pixels, we've onboarded a few very core members. Well, from Leverse as well. They're own folk on Luna. And I've been talking to this guy, and they're super structures and super smart. And along the way, what we did was when we work with them, we learn about, how to structure things. Because, when you choose who you listen to, the first thing you're gonna do is you look at their past successes, right? Like, if this guy, A, worked in successful projects, and B, if this guy, play a very important part to make that successful project successful, and maybe he knows some things that he should at least listen to. So that's the first thing. We are very realistic. We don't just get anyone on board as advisors. We vet on that as well. So we have our advisors, we have our expertise from them, and what we do is when we onboard people, we don't necessarily, put our advisors and experienced people in charge and ask them like, hey, what do you think about this guy? By working with our advisors, we hope not only to get their experience, but we hope to understand, the mindset and the rationales behind their thinking as well. Because I'm the kind of person who's just sort of like reverse engineer everything. So I don't like to just understand, just like listen to thing and follow instructions, because I myself am a builder, and I understand that in order to actually, build it for long terms, you have to understand everything inside out. And the only way to do it, if you sort of have like a mentorship with people who are way more experienced than you are. So that's the first step. And the second step is without sort of like newfound knowledge and advice from advisors, you're gonna be, onboarding people, just talking to them based on their contributions, their ideas, asking really hard questions, just like really get to know the guys, you know what I mean? But the reasons why we really like these AMA, because it just gives us a chance to just talk and connect with people. And I love these questions because it just like allows me to know a little bit more about you. You're the kind of person who's very realistic, we're very strategic, and we appreciate that. And we understand that, to move along the way, not only do we need a clear vision for leadership, but we have to have our strategy. We have to have our tactic and all our shit together as well. And my personal philosophy is I'm gonna learn things to know, enough about things so that I can identify talents, and trust me, like other core team members are doing the same thing as well. We have our own expertise, we have our reverse engineering expertise, and what we can't do, we find people who, actually know more about us, talk to them, learn more about them, cross-checking references to make sure the person is solid, just like dig really deep into it. And either we're gonna get opinion from them to implement it ourselves, or if we really trust the persons, we're gonna just talk with them, work with them on a implementations for the benefit of that. So basically, that's the answer to your first question. I'm just wondering if that satisfied you, or would you like me to deep dive into it a little bit more?
John, are you here?
John, are you still here with us?
Yes, I'm sorry. I was muted. I'm sorry. Yes, it was a great answer. I didn't expect less than that. And from the AMA, what I've been hearing, you guys sound super capable of everything you've been saying, right? I just wanted to hear your side of the same thing I already heard, but directly and then in a question, you understand my English is sometimes get twisted, but it was a great answer.
So just to let me clarify this over with you, John, because we want to be very transparent. Like but people like me and Kurz, and Sangs and House, like everyone is in our team. I believe what we do is that we each have our strengths. I believe that my expertise is just extreme in the sense that when it comes to my domain expertise, I can do it really well. But because I'm more of a specialist, so outside of my domain, if there's something that I need to work on, I have to research on it. I'm not gonna lie. But what I can do is I can research on it, and I think I have an eyes for identifying people who are way smarter than I am, way more qualified than I am, and I also have enough the humility to accept that they are better, and I should just like shut my mouth, listen to them, learn from them, and ideally put them in charge if they are A, capable, two, B, trustworthy, and three, they can get the jobs done. We don't mind.
Absolutely, bro. This response puts you and the team in a whole other level, because it's not only about you guys, it's about the DAO. Like you said earlier, if something happens to you tomorrow, the DAO is gonna continue running because that's the way you've been working everything. So it's the answer I was expecting. So it was a great answer. And the other one is how you guys are planning, right, to bring new investors, not to the DAO or Pixel DAO, but I'm talking about the chain, the blockchain, Harmony. Like, how are we gonna bring new investors that aren't in Harmony, like me, to the chain? What are the plans, the marketing? What are you guys have in line for that? Because like my question comes because the metaverse, right? The biggest metaverse blockchains is not Harmony right now, but I'm not saying it can't be tomorrow, If you guys do what you got to do and work hard enough, you guys can put it in the map. But for now, Harmony is not that much known as metaverse, but how is the Pixel DAO team are going to bring new investors to the blockchain? What are your plans for that?
Sure, and I'm pretty sure this is a two-part question as well. But before answering, I would like to ask you a question, Sean. So instead of bringing you to Harmony, if we come to you, would that make a difference?
Absolutely.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. If you ask if instead of me going to you, if you guys come to me, it will make a huge difference. But that's my question is going towards that. What are the plans, or what you guys got lined up to come to me or investors like me?
Hey, this is Kirk.
Okay, so
Can you guys
that's
hear me?
actually a very. Oh, okay. You want to take this, or should I take this?
Yeah, I can hop in here. Sorry, I was having some issues with my mic for some reason.
Okay.
I'll say this. So that's part of one of the things that I'm going to discuss with when I go to the Harmony One conference next week. That's going to be one of the things that's like top priority with them is kind of talking partnership wise, like how to bring people over to the chain. And I think there's some ways, and I don't want to say them all right now in here because I haven't discussed it with them yet. But I think there's some ways that are partnering with them, we can kind of do like a joint kind of roadmap to onboard more people onto the Harmony side. And then again, like Lefter said, eventually, and a lot of the other key core team members, we're like aiming to go cross chain fairly quickly.
So that's a great one. Just by hearing and knowing that you're going next week to that conference of Harmony One, it says a lot about the team and the commitment that you guys have with the blockchain. It's really important to hear that for investors, right? It calms us down, and at the same time, I want to know how many people like me can come to the chain, to the blockchain, because right now the AMA did their job, so you got somebody here. I'm here, I'm down, and I'm gonna do what I gotta do to support this project. So great AMA. All my questions were answered. The other one was the Pixel. What I asked was the Pixel. If you guys were a part of that coin or token or protocol project, etc.
Sure. And can I just chime in a little bit here? Is because at Pixels, we are very detail oriented, so we would like to leave no questions unanswered. And I would like to chime in, with Coach there. So we understand, right? We launched in Harmony, and Harmony is a new change. And the biggest thing, and it might be the only thing, worth talking about right now, is Defined Kingdom, and we understand it. But I mean, like, this is our home. This is where we choose to be. But it's always been on our roadmap to go cross-chain ASAP, because as you said it, very, very right. The only things in Harmony is right now is Defined Kingdoms. And if we are stuck in Harmony, well, stuck might be, a very negative word, but you get my gist. If we just stay in Harmony, then eventually we're not going to be, a metaverse reserve currency. So we're going to be a Defined Kingdom reserve currency. And that's not our vision. So we start on Harmony, we start on Defined Kingdom, but right after launch, we need to go cross-chain, because I believe that there's like two factors in place here. So we want to bring people to Harmony because we want to support our home, right? But to be able to support our home, we need to reach out. Because if no one's coming to us right now, I mean, like, some builders are going to be like, oh, okay, so we're going to build, and then they will come. But we have this expertise in a sense that we have both this mindset of the builders and the mindset of a businessman. And I believe a business mindset is very important, especially in this space. So in the long term, we would love for you to come to Harmony. But if bridging is a problem, if the lack of support in the ecosystem is a problem, we're going to come to you. We're going to come to AVAX. We're going to come to Ethereum, because that's where, the metaverse gaming mainly is. We're going to come to Solana, because, we need, a piece of Atlas and Polis as well. We don't mind doing the hard work. We know we are young. We know we are the infant in a field. And we appreciate that, despite being the infant in Harmony, you're still here, listening to us, asking us questions, because I believe that you want to believe in us, and that means the world to us. And I really appreciate it. We're going to do outreaching, we're going to do investing, And on the meantime, we also have to balance the fact that, hey, we are building Harmony. This is still our home turf. So we're gonna reaching out, we're gonna grow. But at the end of the day, right, we have to, bring people to Harmony as well. And there's a few things that, I personally discussed with Lee from Harmony. He's the CEO of Harmonies right now. Like, one of the initiatives that we've been talking about is not finalized yet, not 100%, but we really want to have part of a treasury to just sort of like pay it forward, donating to builders and young artists who actually, can't make it just because of the, financial way. And we don't believe that in space like cryptos right now, the lack of money to go to a conference to start networking, or, the lack of funding and exposure because you don't have money should be, like a gateway for you to become successful. So we want to build talents. We're going to grow our homegrown talents. We're going to bring them on board, not only to build for Pixels, but to build for the ecosystem as a whole. Because we believe that when we build in Harmony, a win for Harmony is a win for us. So it's a long-term sustainable play. We don't mind, and we actually appreciate it. So the strategy right now is twofold. We want to go cross-train. We're going to get more exposure. We're going to, bring people to Harmony with our exposure as well. Because win for Pixels is a win for Harmony as well. So it's a lot to balance, if I'm going to be very honest with you. Execution is always harder than what we have in mind. We're fully aware of it. But right now, it's just a plan.
Awesome. Blessings to the team and good luck, brothers. Have a great one.
Thank you, John. Okay, Blank, would you like to, are you still here with us, Blank?
Yep, I'm
Okay,
here.
you can get your question on. Thank you.
Yep, okay. So hi guys, thank you again for having this AMA. So as previously mentioned, 19% of your investment would be on bullish MetaPlay projects, right? So what my question is, what would be your decision parameters or your strategy on choosing these projects? As you know, there are like thousands out there. Will it be like because of the team, their objective, their roadmap, their marketing, or maybe all of this combined together?
Sure. So this ties in with our decentralization roadmap. So just to clarify, when we mention the 80, 19, 1% is our strategies for launch, because we want to be conservative. Okay, so most likely when we're still on Harmony, like I just mentioned to Sean just now, our focus is going to be with DeFi Kingdom's assets. What we have in mind right now is three things. The first thing is the XUO tokens. The second one is the UO1 LP tokens, and the third one, so our lead dev is working right now, and we are actually waiting for our DeFi Kingdom's contact to come back from Miami to talk about it, because we want to figure out a way to bond then our DeFi Kingdom heroes to our treasury as well, and that's going to be in play. And I understand that in the future, the core team just can't make all the decisions, because at the end of the day, we are down, and we don't want the core teams to be doing everything, because that's not the spirit of the DAO. So, but there's also, I think it's not only in crypto, but it's a great debate that when you have a decentralized body, government's body, there's always a battle between people with great domain expertise and the voice of the masses. Like, who are you going to listen to? Are you going to please the majority, the crowd, when we all know that, let's be honest here, we all know that, most retail investors, they invest emotionally without, thinking much instead of being rational and deep diving into things? Or are you gonna listen to the expert, or if you may, the so-called experts in the field who supposedly knows better? That's a great balance. That's a very delicate balance, if you ask me, because the expert, you know, might have decision that seems to be good in the long term. They tend to be more, you know, long term minded than the majorities. But is that gonna be a popular opinion? What if the mass, decide against it and they're not happy about the decision? And like, what if the expert is wrong? Because what is at stake here is it's not a simple decision. It's actually, involve our treasury and also the futures of our DAO. So that can't be taken lightly. So as we are speaking right now, us and his team is working on our governance structures, and we are planning to experiment, and deep dive into convictions voting and weighted voting to find out a system that everyone can propose, projects or investment perspective. Everyone can, like raise their voice and, give opinions on, things. And there will still be like very committed, high expertise committees who is in charge of vetting all these proposals, chiming in decisions making. And I think ideally we would have a, weighted voting system where the majorities and the expert can both vote, but some votes might weigh more than others based on expertise, based on merit, or based on past performance. And we don't want to disclose the exact numbers yet, because if we tell you guys that we have all the answers right now, we would be lying. And the worst thing we can be doing as a new DAO is to be, lack of transparency when it comes to talking to our investor. So for right now, all I can say is we are aware of that issues. We actually deep diving into it and we're figuring it out. But I have in high convictions that, we're gonna figure it out because of two reasons. First reason that we are self-aware. We are a very bunch of self-aware people. We understand the problems. We understand, our strengths, our weakness. And secondly, we are very proactive about bringing people on board and talking to people who are way smarter than we are. And the interesting thing is, between our conversation with our advisors who are way smarter than us, when we raise this question, the final, conclusion would always be, okay, this is my opinions, but you guys are still the core team. So at the end of the day, the core team have to make a decision on how things should be run, because that's gonna decide the destiny of the DAO. And to me personally, a statement, that kind of attitude, are both empowering, but at the same time, we need to remember, and we need to remind ourselves our responsibility as well. So we still haven't figured out that 100%, but you raised a very good questions, and the question is really on point, and just definitely, one of our most important priorities moving forward with Pixels.
Okay. Thank you for the answer. I think it's really inclusive.
Okay, thank you for the question, Blank. Engaro, yeah. You can ask the question.
Yeah, can you hear me? Okay,
Yeah,
Kurt.
we can hear you.
Yeah, okay. So before my question, so I heard that Kurt is going to a Harmony One conference, right? Was it Kurt?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So do you know that the Harmony One gives grants for like projects that's being built on Harmony One right now? Because like there was another DAO that mentioned that they got a 50K grant for building a DAO on Harmony One. So this is just one point that I would like to point out to you guys if you guys didn't hear about this. Yep, okay. So going to my question, right? So my question was actually sort of being answered by the being asked by the last guy. So I will just drill down a little bit more. So from what I read on the Medium, it was said that the investors will get to choose what the investment strategy will be for Pixel DAO. So how do we have confidence that the community will choose the best or like a good decision, given that I would believe most people do not have background in let's say doing research or like investment strategies? Do you get my question?
Yes, just give us a moment. I think we're just having a little technical difficulties right now. Just give it a second.
Right. Yeah, so my question is that the DAO pretty much decides on how where Pixel DAO is going to invest, right? So how do we, the rest of the investors, have confidence that this DAO will be able to make the right decision in where the DAO is putting their money, basically?
Hey, can you guys hear me now?
We can hear you, Kurt. Yeah.
Okay. I apologize. I don't know. I'm having some issues with my mic. I got all of Egan W's questions. Egan Wo's questions. So what I was trying to say before my mic cut out was that we are going to basically validate and vet all of the people that essentially apply for those positions on the council. We're also going to go to our advisors and make sure that we have almost like an interview process essentially to get the right people in those positions, because they're going to be responsible for managing assets, right? And determining the allocation. So that will be where, like Lovefish mentioned earlier, where we hone in on that expertise. We get the right people in those right positions, and they're going to be the ones doing it. And the process for that will be everything from submitting their not their CV or resume, but their background, doing rounds of interviews by subject matter experts that we already have on the team, and essentially validating those people and the skills that they profess to have. Hopefully that answers your question, and I can go into a little more detail if you'd like, but that's it.
Yeah, sorry. So the purpose of the DAO was that the community gets to take part in the vote, right? But if you elect a specific individual or like a council, so how does that actually go against the vision of it being a DAO?
Yep. So it will be a community vote. It's like a representative DAO, and we're actually looking at a few different models. We haven't hammered down the exact model we're going with, but essentially what it'll look like is, and again, I think Lovefish mentioned this. We were looking at like Lizerve's model. We looked at a few other DAO's models, and we're kind of making a hybrid. But the bottom line is this: people can put forth nominees, right? They'll be vetted, they'll be validated by core team members initially, and then they'll be put up for votes, right? So like it'll be a community vote for who they want to manage their assets based on requirements that kind of sets the requirements. People nominate either themselves or they nominate, someone that they know for that position. and then the community votes on that position. Does that make sense?
Yep. So what you're trying to say is that we are voting for a person to make the decision for the DAO instead of we are voting for the projects that we are going to invest, basically, right?
Yes.
So I
That
think
ties to what Chris is talking about the tyranny of the majority, or like the tyranny of the majority. Like, hey, if everyone wants to vote on one thing, but we're still working through that governance model. Nothing is set in stone for that initially.
Okay, so I
All
would like
right.
to chime in a little bit here, because actually it's a very interesting debate in the sense that, you know, there's always this tough question, right? Like, do you want to be right, or do you want to grow the treasury? That's a very hard question. It's a really hard question. Because, as I said just now, we are exploring the conviction vote and the weighted vote system. Because obviously, you know, everyone wants to have a voice, and everyone wants to have an opinions, and everyone wants to vote. But when it comes to very important things like treasury, how would that system affect our futures? That's the biggest concerns. Because the DAO always need a treasury. Need the treasury to be healthy, so that, you know, as a pure protocol on liquidities models, we need, you know, high RFE, maintain the health of the protocols, and at the same time, we need to go for, you know, long-term play as well, especially speculative investment. So let's say a DAO is still a DAO. At the end of the day, it's decentralized, and decentralizing here might mean that at the end of the day, the communities vote for people who's going to represent them, going to vote for people who's going to be in charge of that investment committee. Not the core team's going to vote for them, or not the core team's going to assign them, but the decisions making process of, you know, votings and bringing on board the investment committee is essentially a decentralized decision. Once you trust and you put your trust in those people that they're qualified enough to make the hard decisions for the DAO, are we still going to listen to their advice, or are we, you know, going to veto them completely with our votes? That's why, you know, for regular own folks, right, there are decisions to be made with regard to policies, you know, debates and everything. For us, the reasons why we are coupling DAOs to make sure the governance structure, you know, I'm not going to use the word perfect here, but the governance structure is solid, because we are tackling way different problems here, you know, compared to other DAOs. Because that's what we want to look at. So one of our advisors is actually the, you know, advisors for the governance structures for reverse DAO. That's one of the reasons why we are looking at reverse as models. But definitely we understand that, you know, thrive in this field, we can't just like blindly take one of the models and just like try to shoehorn it or fit it into our visions. We really need to take into consideration our natures as investment DAOs, making final decisions. But there's always going to be that discussion. Like, we want to be decentralized. At what cost and at what field? There are few decisions that we want to please the mass and go with, you know, whatever mass is comfortable with. But I believe that there are some decisions that should leave to the people who actually are qualified than ourselves to make the decisions. The challenge here is, you know, balancing between the domain expertise and the voice of the mass. That's the main challenge that we are very excited, but at the same time, we are very careful with in dealing right now.
Yep, I understand. Thanks for the answer.
Okay, thank you for the question. Value Kingdom, are you still here with us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, you can get your question on. Please.
Yeah, perfect. So first of all, I want to thank you for this AMA, and what I've seen in your Discord is pretty interesting and remarkable in a way that it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort and real effort to go forward, to find some clues. You have to research, you have to find information, you have to grind. So, and for me, it looks like a very good way to, to let the participants, to the members, to sort of filter themselves, like the community, to distill the most active and hardworking members, and to reward them. So that sounds like a great way to solidify community, like gamifying the process, and to make sure that people who gets rewards are the ones who put the work. So my question is, was it intentional? Was it like, was it the intentional design of this whole process to solidify your community? And do you think that this is the right approach and this is the way the DAOs should make their community, basically?
I'm sorry, but personally, I don't get a question.
Come again, sorry?
Like, you want to take this, because personally, I don't really understand the question.
Apologize. Value Kingdom, can you maybe shorten the question? So.
Yeah, okay. So it looks like it takes effort and time to get a whitelist, basically. So was it your intention to make sure that people put effort and put a lot of time to work their way to the whitelist?
Okay, the short answer is you want them to put in the right effort. Not just efforts, but the right effort.
Okay.
Because I believe that I covered this at the beginnings of the AMAs, right? So our focus is not getting, fill out a whitelist criteria, but onboarding people who understand about the visions of the projects and understand about the three natures of the POL's models. Because believe it or not, some people still don't understand that to be successful in a POL's model, you need to stake, not waiting for the 10x price and just sell it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Do you have any more question, Value Kingdom?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Joel Bill, are you still here with us?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Please go on with the question. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thanks for taking the time for this. I think it was Sebla earlier asked about how Pixel DAO could potentially incubate new metaverse and gaming projects. Building on that, would you ever consider using Pixel DAO as a launchpad platform whereby you could earn an allocation through staking the token or similar mechanics?
I personally believe that, there's something like pixels, right? There's limitless potentials. But the thing for us to figure out is that, in a space and with the models when there's limited potentials, what are our visions and what we want to limit ourselves to? Because at the end of the day, right, if we try to do everything, we're gonna be a jack of all trades, and we're not gonna be successful. That's why we always have a very sort of like laser focused sort of visions. We focus on what we want to get handled first, and then as we move along and we build the foundations upon our successes, we're gonna re-evaluate ourselves and just like make decisions accordingly. I think I'm just gonna share a little bit of personal experience here, but I've been a semi-professional poker player since I was about 15 years old. And in poker, what we do is we always, plan for the futures, but we always re-evaluate ourselves on every single street.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, that was it, I think. Thank you for coming, guys. Hope best luck with your project. I'm sure it will be really successful. So, yeah, see you again.
Well, thanks for hosting us, buddy. Hey, thanks. First, I think we should say thank you for the Olympian guys for hosting us today.
Hey, thank you guys so much for coming out, and thank you, Olympian team, for hosting this. It was really enjoyable. Thank you, guys.
Thanks. If you want, you can choose the questions that you want to give the whitelist.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah.
You gonna do that now?
If they're still here, John Wayne, thank you for your question. We loved it. Sebla, Uzi Blank.
Yeah, I'm writing it just in case.
Perfect. So Sebla, Uzi Blank, John Wayne, Egan W0.
Perfect. Thank you all for coming, and see you later.
Thank you so much. Yeah, great talking to you guys.
Thank you. Thank you for coming today.
Thanks a lot, Olympians, for giving us the time and attention today for this AMA. Really appreciate the space and the time.
And always feel free to jump on our channels, hop onto our suggestions, and love to see you guys there.
Okay, for everyone who's interested in Pixel DAO, there's a link in the announcement. You can visit them there. Okay.
Thank you guys. Have a good day.
Have a good day.
Bye,
Thanks,
guys.
guys.